Well, damn. When 30 years ago, when I was there, it didn't look like that. They have upgraded greatly. It looks nice. That is so nice. Because 30 years ago, when I was in Israel and I was at the Jordan River, didn't look like that at all. So they've done a lot. They must have made a lot of money. But here's the thing. So that was a spot in Israel, south of the city of Bethany, right before the Dead Sea, where most Christians accept that this is where Jesus was baptized. Now, according to your book, he was baptized in the Jordan River south of Bethany. And so what had happened is the Crusaders picked a spot and said, this is the spot where Jesus was baptized. There is zero archaeological evidence that demonstrates that that is the actual spot where the mythological Jesus was baptized, or anyone who was named Yeshua, actually went and got baptized. This is just what the early church said, and people just accepted. Now, one of the things that I found interesting is when I first went there, this was during a time frame when I was desiring to be the best Christian. I was desiring to, know this God, feel this God, believe in this God. I wanted Jesus and the Bible to be right. And so when I was in Israel, I'm going to all the holy sites and I'm fully open and begging this God. And when I got to this one, when I was in Bethlehem and at the site that they say was the where he was born, that was one thing. Being at Mount Calvary, that was another thing. But when I was at this particular site, people were getting baptized, and they were just praising Americans, Canadians, Europeans, Africans, Asians, people from everywhere, just they were getting baptized, and they come out and they just, I feel the power and all this sort of thing. And so I was excited. I was really excited because I was like, this is going to be one of those things, finally one of those things, because everything else has been disappointing. I was at Calvary. I felt nothing. I saw nothing. I saw a bunch of things that made me say, When I was at the Protestant version of where they say Jesus was buried, I was like, At the Bethlehem, every place that I went to in Israel, it was like, but this one, I had all my desires. I had so much emphasis for, the Wailing Wall was like, okay, but I was really into this one, right? Because I had only been baptized about 7 years prior, but I was younger then. I'm older now. I should know more. I should be more in that mode, and I was desirous with an open heart. And I'm seeing all these other people, yeah, ooh, all this stuff. I get in the water. I'm praying, and I let the man baptize me. I got out the water, and there was absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Other than the smell of how dirty and funky that water was. That was the only thing. Because the Jordan River, they've cleaned it a lot better now. But back then, 30 years ago, it was pretty nasty. They was almost ready to tell people they couldn't get in the Jordan River. It was so filthy. But absolutely nothing. But all these other people was having all this hooping and hollering and all these sorts of things. And then I started wondering. And then I started thinking, and I noticed, because one of the persons who went with me was this young lady who was tethered to our ship. And when she came out the water, she was praising Jesus and everything. And then 2 hours later, she was back to her normal self. And that got me thinking back at that time frame. And I've often thought about this. Why is it that people only catch the Holy Spirit at church for the most part? At church is when people most of the time they catch the Holy Spirit. And it's not when they walk in the door. It's not during, offering times. It's not when the Baptist church is not when the deaconess is reading the minutes and from the program. Is not when they're talking about future events happening at the church. Is not when the deacons were doing the hymns. Is not in the reading of the passages. Never during those times. It is usually during when somebody's singing a song, especially this one girl. Mahalia, and not Mahalia Jackson, but when Mahalia used to get up there and sing, oh, people often caught the Spirit when she sang because she sang great, amazing. They caught it then. Or when the pastor, when he first started preaching, no catching of the Holy Spirit. But when he get into the, and the Lord said, when he get into that, and the music, they caught the Holy Spirit. And then as soon as the pastor finished and they have altar call, nobody catch the Holy Spirit anymore. There's no Holy Spirit. You walking around, you go to work, nobody's catching the Holy Spirit at work. Any other time I've seen people catch the Holy Spirit, so to speak, is when they were praying for someone. They get into a whole big prayer thing and and they so-called speaking in tongue. All of a sudden, somebody might catch the Holy Spirit then. But it's only at the time frame when they are emotionally in an emotional state to praise this God with the addition of music and or prayer that a person catches the Holy Spirit. People aren't just walking down the street, Holy Spirit, and they just got it. It doesn't happen. You won't see it. Mother Johnson, Sister Ann, none of them ever have the Holy Spirit other than when they in church or they are doing some kind of prayer with somebody, and usually they have to be seen to do it, which further let me know that people catching the so-called Holy Spirit is simply them being in a heightened state of emotion, and this is their outlet, and they've been trained to believe that that is what they are feeling. They're stressed, they're depressed, something good happened in their life, and they're in church. They've given that to this deity, and their emotions being heightened causes them to jump up and down and scream because from the time frame that they were small, either they were witnessing this in church, or they were witnessing this on television, or they were playing church, or what their friends or somebody told them about them, taught them about them. They all do this. Because let me tell you something that's interesting. 30 years ago, when the people, the Asian people, or the most of the Europeans, when they would come out of the water, they would just be like, yes, Jesus, oh Jesus. But the African people and the Black Americans, because 30 years ago, that was common for us, for our people, because it goes back to our African ancestry with being taken over by either your Orisha or your ancestors, and that was common in their practice, which was brought over to the Americas, which became part of Christianity. So they were the only ones doing it 30 years ago. Nowadays, I would imagine, since more Caucasians have caught on to the Holy Spirit and the money it could bring, you got Caucasians will be and running around and dancing. So it's all simply emotions and training and conditioning. That's all the Holy Spirit is. So if you are sitting right now and you're stressed and you just want to relieve that stress, go exercise. Or better yet, go do something to get rid of the stress. That way, you don't have to jump up and down and scream and make a fool of yourself. If you're happy about something, jump up and down, scream. But know that you're screaming and jumping up and down because you're happy about what you just received or what just happened. It ain't got nothing to do with the Holy Spirit. It's your spirit. That's it. It's all inside of you. So y'all have a great day. And remember always, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.